Good afternoon, grade 5. So we have another language arts lesson here. Just bringing this to you shortly after the last one. Just had to come up with a few new sentences before I could record this. So I hope they're fairly good. I just made them on the spot here. So yeah, we'll continue. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so today we're just talking about juxtaposition, repetition, and kenning. So this will be our last, literary devices kind of presentation, I guess, from this unit at least. So yeah, we're just kind of going to go through this and see what happens. So yeah, we're going to start actually with kenning, which is kind of a fun one to start with. I don't know. I think I just started with kenning. So yeah. Kenning in poetry is a way of naming something by using two-word expressions that describe its qualities. We actually use these a fair bit without realizing it, but in poetry, they're used even more, especially in older poetry like the story of Beowulf, which is, kind of an interesting story, which I'm still thinking I might assign a bit of it just to look at. It's quite a long story. It's an epic, actually, a poetry epic, really. So yeah, kenning actually, and that's funny because Beowulf's an old story, and kenning has its origins in Anglo-Saxon or Old Norse, so older languages, right? Older English. Anglo-Saxon is really like not even older English; it's like before English, but part mixed into English. So there's still some Anglo-Saxon words that we use, and if you ever Google or like look up Old English being spoken, it's never spoken by any native speakers. There's no native speakers left, but we do have books, and there's even a portion of a Bible that's written in an old Anglo-Saxon tongue, which is quite interesting. So yeah, you see that they just use two different words, and oftentimes they do have an ER at the end, and I'll show you that in the ones I came up with. So they often say like Deathbringer is a sword, but here on the side you have some funny ones. These are less, not the usual way you do it, but these are just some funny ways of describing these animals, right? So you have a trash panda instead of a raccoon or a danger noodle, because because a raccoon kind of looks a little bit like a panda and it spends a lot of time destroying your trash. And then you have a snake here being a danger noodle, because I guess it's kind of like a long newt spaghetti piece. But yeah, you have our formal chicken as the penguin, and the murder log, which would be an alligator. So yeah, it's just some fun there. And so yeah, you have lots of modern examples of kenning. So four eyes, someone who wears glasses, head twister, owl, mind reader, a person who knows. These are just little things like a bean counter, a bookworm. That's one that I don't mind being called a bookworm. Someone who reads a lot. But yeah, you got all these first lady, right? These are just words that can be used. Anyways, here we go on to juxtaposition. So juxtaposition is like really an idea of creating contrast. So with pictures, as I have here, it's kind of cool to create some contrast, right? You see how there's that brown, there's all those brown penguins, and then there's the one nicely colored penguin. You see how he stands out because of that? So that's a way you can create juxtaposition. It's by two contrasting ideas or words in the same statement to create a contrasting effect. Now, it doesn't actually have to be in a, this is antithesis, sorry. That was it. Anyways, juxtaposition. You just have to ignore that that picture over here. It's not exactly what we need. But I saw, juxtaposition. So it basically, it puts two different things beside each other to create a, to stress the differences and to stress one object often. It just creates imagery in a sense. So you can things can stand out even more. This can happen a lot in poetry as well. And I'll show you an example of it that I made. And then repetition. Repetition is something that is used so often, not only in poetry, but in great speeches. So it's basically just repeating similar statements again and again, maybe changing it slightly, but keeping it, repeating it, and then it really beats in an idea. So if you can repeat a lot, sometimes this can be a good way of emphasizing what you're saying. And we can even think of, Jesus saying, "Verily, verily, verily, I say unto thee," or truthfully, truthfully, truthfully. Or truly, 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 whatever version you have. So yeah, it's just this idea of repeating yourself to make emphasis. And we see Winston Churchill was like, "We will fight them on the beaches. We will fight them on the landing grounds. We will fight them in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight them in the hills. We shall never surrender." So yeah, that's like that's a very famous speech, and that part is so in people's heads, primarily because he repeated himself, and it sounds eloquent for some reason, even though it's very simple. Every one of those words is a simple word, but he grouped them together, and people have often said that Winston Churchill marshaled the English language to war against the Germans, and he was really a great prime minister of the time to fight. And it's an interesting contrast because the Germans also had an orator as well, in a sense that Hitler gave speeches, and that's how he got his people engaged. And Winston Churchill also gave speeches, and obviously there are different people and there's lots of other things going on there, but the sense of their speeches being part of their power is true. So yeah, you just see that. So anyways, here we just see let's, and so you see that a lot of let's, and that's the way that one repeats itself. So I'm just going to go here quickly and show you mine. So juxtaposition. So I have this is kind of still, I'm not sure what all these going to be in my poem finally, but yeah, some of this is like the men clad. So this is juxtaposition. The men clad in shining silver stood before the deep dark woods. So you have this image of the deep dark woods and these men in like a shining silver, right? So there's a juxtaposition of these men standing before this forest, and they're kind of shining brightly in this deep dark wilderness and woods. The next one, repetition. We have to shore, a captain cried. To sea, echoed a cowardly call. So you see you have a kind of a similar setup, right? These are sort of mirroring each other, not only in repeating the to and the a, call, cried. So there's a lot of similarities in captain. So there's things mirroring each other again and again. But you do see the this idea of to, and so that creates like a you can see actually in a sense it also creates juxtaposition, and it's even more vibrant because of the repetition. And then finally some kennings that I came up with. So what I'm trying to create an image of here is some muskets. So muskets were guns that kind of very old-fashioned guns that the flint came down and went poof, and it was like a one-shot kind of rifle. And so these are just some words like fire thrower, spark launcher, because often there'd be a big like flash at the end, just like a gun today. But in the sense it'd be more dramatic. And then crackle shots, and often when there's a lot of or crackle stick is actually what I called it. And it's hard to see there at the edge, but yeah, crackle stick. So just because they would make that kind of noise, or it crackled as the gunpowder lit up, and so it would make this crackling noise. So yeah, these are just things. So I'd like you guys now to go out and create your own kenning. So a kenning is just, see here, it's fairly simple. Just a fire thrower. If you had an alarm clock, if you wanted to call, maybe you're describing a clock, maybe you just call it a time shower, right, or something like that, or a ball, maybe a bouncing sphere, so something like that. Often you see these R's at the end, right? It doesn't have to be, but you see it often. Hey guys, I just wish you all the best as you go on to the weekend, and I just am keeping you all in mind and in my prayers. Just ask that, everyone can work on this and have a good weekend. Bye-bye for now. See ya.